Well, good morning, folks. It's Richard Gene, the fishing machine here. Currently, well, y'all can see, it is a foggy, warm, pretty warm morning here in the Tennessee Valley. And today, well, I've selected to do it once again, and that's fish from the bank. I've been enjoying myself here lately, going to new lakes, new areas, and this is a new area for me, but it's one that I've been looking at, studying, and as far as the topography of this lake right here, I think I'm in a good or a high percentage area right here to fish and focus on some big shellcracker and bluegill. Now this morning we're fishing the way that I like, or I believe is the best way to target big bluegill or shellcracker, panfish this time of the year, and that's in the winter. And I'm using live bait. Now this morning I'm just so happen to be using night crawlers. I like to use night crawlers, red worms, and wigglers. All of those will work in the winter time, but my favorite so far is night crawlers for these big fish like I'm targeting. Now I got one rod out. I just threw it out, and it's probably in about 8 to 10 feet of water, my estimate. I counted it down as it was falling, and I believe it's about 8 to 9 feet deep. I know I'm pretty close. Now that's about the depth of water I like to concentrate on these big fish, anywhere from 8 to around 14 feet, and I rarely have to fish deeper than that unless it's a really hard winter. But I'm going to first of all show y'all what I'm doing. Excuse me, I'm watching this rod because I know I'm close to some big fish right here. I've studied these fish for years, and I'm in between 2 points and a slough type situation right here, and it's all deep right here, and that's what I'm looking for, folks, on most of these lakes. But all I'm using right here, this is a crappie max. It's 7 feet long, real limber, spongy rod. I'm using 2-pound test line, high vis monofilament line. It's vicious line is what it is, and a 1000 size reel. This rod right here is basically the same, except for it's a different rod. It's a Daiwa reel, Johnny Morris Daiwa reel, but the rod is just a Canyon Creek super ultralight rod. Now the reason I'm using these limber rods and 2-pound test, and by the way, this other rod has 2-pound test on it too, it's set up the same way, is so I can get a long cast with this light line. Well, using this light line, you can get a long cast and still use a small split shot like that one. Now, when it comes from the bank fishing this way, I like to put my split shot above the hook anywhere from 16 to 20 inches. That's just always something I've always done. But now look, here's a hook. Look here, folks. Here's a hook that I've been using here lately. It's called the Gamakatsu Stiletto. It's a size 6 hook. And I believe I'm about out. I may have one hook left in that pack right there. Y'all excuse me, I am hung up on this camera. I'll show you what that hook looks like. It's extremely sharp. You know, Gamakatsu hooks are. Now, I don't even know if they make a size. I don't really know if they make a size 8 or not. I need to find me some of those too. But these hooks are extremely sharp. Now I'm targeting bluegill and shellcracker. It's possible we might catch a bass or a catfish or anything else using live bait like night crawlers. So let's get this one on out, and I'll show you and explain to you a little bit further in detail what I'm doing to catch these big fish. Alright folks, what I have right here is a few night crawlers. Well, a lot of them really. So I'm going to pick one out about like that. Okay, the smaller ones right now. Now the bigger ones I'll cut in half. fishing like this. But when they're small like that, I'll just put the whole thing on. Now, if I find some really big fish, well, there's no doubt that you can catch them on the big night crawlers, the biggest ones you've got. But the way I hook them is a little different than most people, especially when I'm fishing for these trophies. Now look here, I'm just going to take and I'm going to hook him right like that one time. That's it. Let's look at that in the water if we can. Okay, imagine it is on the bottom. Now look at that. See how that night crawler, let me move him a little bit, is moving a little bit. He's moving enough to attract the fish. The water's really cold, so there's not going to be a lot of movement. But let's get this on out here, far as we can throw it. Now I slapped it on top of the water to tense the worm up so I could get a longer cast. If they're real limber, they don't cast as far, if that makes any sense. But yeah, we put it out there on a long cast. I'm going to loosen that drag in case we hook a bass or a catfish. You never know. Or a big old bluegill. But once it's on the bottom, okay, now it's on the bottom, I'm just going to put it on this stick right here, just like that. Look here, look here. My goodness, we done got a fish on right here. I was going to put it in a rod holder. We have found the spot, folks. We have absolutely found the spot. That's a good fish right here. Them fish ain't very far out right here, not really. I'll bet you they're right on the break line. They're around 7 or 8 feet at the most. That's a big one right there. That's what we're looking for. Look at that, golly. Look at there, what a fish. That's exactly what we're looking for. That's two of them, just boom, boom. Look at there. Them some good fish right there, folks. That's some fine eating. All right, folks, let's go ahead and hook us another one up. My goodness, I didn't even have time to put it in a rod holder. That's one of them situations where when I made a cast, I threw it right on top of his head. You know, yeah, that was just a freak thing. That fish was there. I mean, let's make another cast out yonder. That's about where I caught him. All right, let's let it hit the bottom. If it will. But it did. It hit the bottom. And that fish was all over it. Like stink on a turd. I mean, he was on it before I could get it in the rod holder. All right, let's get it in the rod holder. It's on the bottom. I'm just going to leave that slack in there for right now. See how there's a belly right there? And we'll just watch that. If he takes off, or if it flinches, well, then I know I got a bite. But, yeah, I'm going to say these fish is probably 8 to 9 feet deep right here. Now, personally, I prefer fishing like this if I can find them, these old big fish, from the bank than I had from a boat, to be honest with y'all. Now, like I said, I don't know anything about this part of the lake. I just know what I'm looking for on any lake. You know, if they exist, points, cuts, sloughs, fingers, whatever you want to call it. This is actually just a big finger that runs in here. And then right there, we're looking at a point. Then, of course, right here's another point. That's how I like to position myself. And I've done that before You know, about the same situation from the bank not long ago. Now, this one right here, I ain't had a bite on it yet. So, what we're going to do is move it just a little bit and then set it back. Set it back in there. A lot of times that'll draw attention if there's a fish pretty close. Because, you know, I don't like to just let them sit out there like I'm catfishing, but yet I'm patient. Y'all know what I'm saying? Yeah, I like to, if I'm not getting bit, I like to move them a little bit. Just in case there's a fish close and it draws attention. That's one reason why I catch a lot of bass using these night crawlers fishing from the bank like this, or catfish. A lot of times, sometimes I'll catch huge channel cats, but I don't want to hook any of those if I don't have to, not with 2-pound line. My focus is on these fish right here, these old big old bluegill. That's my focus. Let's suppose it gets really slow right here. What will I do? Well, all I'm going to do is simply mark this spot, okay, with some rocks or whatever, okay. Now I'm doing that for a reason. Then I'll move over right here. I mean, I don't have a depth finder where I can locate these fish. I don't have a live scope, so I'm going to have to use instinct and patience to catch these fish. But I'll just move over just a little bit, okay. Oh, I might move over here 30 or 40 feet, set up again, and then start fishing. I'll just move down the bank like that. Now, to sit in one place all day long, that's just something I can't do. If they quit biting or if it gets slow a little bit, I got to move. And to be honest with y'all, either way, I can move towards this point and actually fish off of the point, or it's going to be high percentage also to move down through here, because this is nothing but a big finger or kind of like a slough, and just move down through there and catch one or two here, one or two there. But now these fish, when they're active, what they do is they move on the break line right where it falls off, and I've done got that found. It's not a very far cast. It's not far as I can throw. It's about half as far as I can throw from the bank. So, in about 7 or 8 feet of water. So I know about how long it takes for this split shot to sink this bait. Hey, we got a bite, folks. Look here. I believe that fish has hooked itself. Yep, he's hooked. He's hooked. That fish run over towards the left and somehow hooked itself. This is a good fish right here. This is a doggone big old fish right here now. Unless he's just mean. He's pulling. Now, let me get over this rod right here. I thought the line was under that other line. It's hard to, I couldn't see it. It's 2-pound test line. It's hard to see. Oh, this is a good one. Look here, what a fish. Big old bluegill, my. Now what had happened right here, I moved over about 10 feet from where I was. I want y'all to look at that, how that fish is fighting. Now this one's not, this is a good fish right here. I thought he was bigger than that. That's the good eating size right there. Perfect eating size. But that fish was fighting a lot more than his size. I guarantee you, he fought more than these other fish I have. These other two. Let's put this one on the stringer. That's some good eating. Hey, man. It's some doggone good eating. Hey, man. Whoa! Okay, I lost it. I'm losing it, folks. That fish right there hooked itself. He hit it so hard. Well, them little gamakatsu hooks, they're so sharp. I mean, they're like needles. But let's go ahead and put this fish on here. That's three good bluegill. He's not, now that one ain't quite as big as those other two, but that fish fought a lot more. You know, I mean a lot more of those other three. They're all big bluegill though. Best eaten in the river in my opinion. Look here, folks. Looky here, looky here. My, we're hooked up into another one right here. Now this one right here feels like it's bigger than anything I've caught. I want y'all to look at that rod bend. Now the thing about bluegill in the winter time, they got the power, but they just don't have the speed. And I think he's got caught up in my other line too. I hope not. But I believe he has. Doggone it. No, there he comes. He come loose from it. There's another one right there. That's a good one right there. Golly. I have picked a spot right here. And all I done was come out here and started walking down these banks and looking, and I figured it out. I thought, yep, this is going to be the prime spot. Or should be. Y'all look what a fish right here. This is a beautiful, beautiful gill right here. Look how thick that fish is. Now you talking about some good eating. Oh my. The best eating they ever was, okay? Hey man, it's good eating. These are delicious. And that is a big old gill right there. I guarantee you. And that was on a whole night crawler, folks. Them little gamakatsu hooks, if they hit it, they'll hook themselves. These fish are hooking themselves. They hit it so hard. My goodness. We're mounting some fish up right here. Golly. And quick. I forgot to show y'all this. These are bobber stops right here. One on each side of that split shot. That way I don't have to crimp this split shot down tight. Because if you do that, see how it's loose on the line? If you do that on light line, you'll bust off right there, especially if you hook up to a big fish. So this way, to keep the split shot from sliding down or up, you can put it, you know, the distance you want to from the hook. And like I said, anywhere from 16 to 20 inches is my preference, but you know, that's just my preference. That don't mean it's the right distance. All right, let's chunk another one out there. I got a fresh night crop. Look how watch that worm. See how he tenses up. It makes a big difference. About right there is where I caught that fish. Hey. Watch that rock tip, folks. There's a fish right there. There's one. There we go. I was just fixing to send that one right there back out. I got drug in a piece of limb or something. Here's the fish. That fish was way out yonder. That's probably the farthest one cast that I've made. Yeah, it's a good one. It's going to be another keeper. I'm just moving down a few feet at a time, picking up one here, one there. Come on, boy. Come on in here. Boy, I love this Canyon Creek. It's a super ultra light rod, and these fish feels like they're 10 or 15 pounds a piece. But that's a good eating size gill right there, folks. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're going to put him in the bucket. I ain't caught a small one yet. I've located some good ones right here. Let's put him on the stringer. Location is very important. It just seems like in the wintertime, anytime I'm between 2 points, I mean, there's a point. And there's a point. And then we got a little finger right here. It just seems like and no matter what lake I fish, I always locate these in the wintertime. The bigger panfish. It's just something that works for me. Now there's other things I look for too, but the weather conditions has been just right for this little pattern right here. It's been working. Alright. Let's send this one out and we'll see if we can catch us another one. Woo. Own it. And I've said this for years. There's two types of individuals in the world. Okay. You're either for it, okay, or you're against it. Now, me personally, I'm talking about me. I can only talk about me. I'm for it. So let's catch another. Hey, man. Woo. I'm getting a drillagin. There he is. Oh, I just stood up to stretch my legs, and here we go again. We're on again. There's quite a few fish right here. That fish is going up the bank. We'll just follow him. I didn't jerk, folks. That looked like I jerked, but I didn't really. I just grabbed it and got the slack out of the line. I know better than a jerk. This is a good fish right here. Look at there. What some big old swirls right there. This is going to be a pretty good fish. I'm just letting him fight. Let him have his fun. Yeah, this is a good one right here. They've all been good ones. Wow. Man, when they hit, they hit. What it is, I'm not catching these fish really quick. I want to make that clear. They're not biting fast at all. But when one does bite, he knocks the fire out of it. Now let's look at this right here. I do get a lot of questions about this. All right. Let me flip him right here. That's a big old gill right there. That is a big old pretty gill right there. That fish right there is, folks, that fish is 10¼ inches probably. But notice that night crawler. That's a big night crawler. Darn big one. And let's see here. Let me see if I can get this hook out real quick. Don't be afraid to use the whole night crawler, and I've been showing this for years, because what'll happen is you're going to catch those bigger fish. Okay? Oh, that's down there pretty deep. I can't believe that fish done that. I'll just get that hook out. Okay. I'll just get that hook out later, folks, when I clean him. But let's put this one on the stringer. A whole night crawler will attract those bigger fish. Now, especially big shellcracker or redear sunfish. So don't be scared to use the whole dead blame thing for these big old son of a guns, because they don't have any trouble at all eating them. Not at all. Now, a lot of people says, oh, they got a little mouth. You don't have to have such a big old bait. Well, really, that's true, but it's false, because what it is, I'm fishing for the biggest one I can possibly find, the biggest one that I can catch. So that's the reason why a lot of times I'll use the whole night crawler. And as far as them getting the night crawler in their mouth, as y'all can see, they don't have any trouble doing it. Night crawlers they're long. Especially that last one I used a real big one. They're real long, but they're flexible and they don't have any trouble. They'll open their gills, open their mouth, and flare those gills and vacuum that thing in there. without any trouble, and they can do it quick. All right. That's going to be supper right there. I don't know if y'all can see them real good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's big. That's good enough because these are huge. Them are some huge gills right there. And this pattern that I'm fishing, and it is a pattern for a bluegill or shellcracker from the bank, is probably one of the oldest techniques that's ever been. And as far as the way I'm fishing, just a split shot, a hook. And probably the only thing that I'm doing different than what they used to do is I'm using a lot thinner line. A 2-pound test line wasn't something that I don't believe the old timers would have used. I really don't. But like I said, that enables me to get a longer cast and also to have fun on these ultralights. And it's a great way to catch them in the winter time. And I'm on a quest, believe it or not, to catch a giant. And a giant to me, well, or to anybody, is going to be a 12-inch fish or bigger. And, you know, they're here, they're out here. It's just a matter of getting lucky and getting that bite, or getting blessed and getting that right bite. But when you're catching fish anywhere from 9 to 10 inches long, you're catching quality bluegill or shellcracker. But those 12, 13, 14-inch fish, they exist out here. They're here. And we're going to mess around and get one of those. When they get that big, they get real heavy. They get real girthy, thick, and just heavy. It makes a difference. It don't seem like that would make a difference 2, 3, 4 inches, but it does when it comes to a true trophy. And that's what I'm after. And this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. Live bait cannot be beat when it comes to catching these old big fish. But as far as just good eating size fish, either way, it can't be beat. I want to say God bless each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for all the great comments. Get out there on the riverbank or lake. Get you a chair to sit down in. Get you a couple of sticks, stop them up in there, and just relax and have fun, because there's nothing like God's great outdoors. God bless y'all. Hey, man, woo. Oh, it's, yeah, I've been, and remember, go fishing when you can, because it's good.